Today at Manchester Theatres, it is my pleasure to be joined by Manchester's very own multi-award winning choreographer and performer, Jordan James Bridge, who is coming to the Manchester Opera House for one night only on the 11th of March, showcasing his work in the brilliant show that is Ballet Nights. Now, Jordan is a long-time former member of the studio Wayne McGregor, has danced in other dance companies such as Alexander Whitley. He has been with Tava Ziva, Michael Clark. He has done collaborations with the likes of the Royal Ballet, English National Opera, BBC Two, BBC iPlayer, Google Arts and Culture, and has even worked alongside Disney, ABBA Voyage, and even Milan Fashion Week. Jordan has choreographed, taught, and lectured across some of the most prestigious ballet schools in the world and has previously collaborated with Ballet Nights as well. So we're definitely in the right set of hands today to talk about this show. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I mean, that's amazing. I love that. I feel like that was my whole CV.
I feel like I need to give you like a red book for like living your life. So Ballet Nights. This is a show that up until now has just existed in London, so it's touring, and it brings together, some of the greatest choreographers, performers, musicians across the globe. So for people who don't know, tell us a little bit about the structure and what it's all about.
So I would say, like in a simpleton way, Ballet Nights is almost like the UK's version of a gala. And like we don't typically have galas here. It's very much like a European kind of understanding in the summer, when it's really sunny and they do stuff outside. But here, it's been a massive staple in London. It's been brilliant. Jamil Devaney Lawrence is doing an absolutely incredible thing. Like you said, bringing brilliant artist, great choreography, merging that together and bringing new voices as well, which I think is incredibly poignant at a time where sometimes, the gatekeepers of the money with the Arts Council and its specific companies, we can actually still get different people performing on our stages. And it's very integral to keep pushing the arts forward.
Absolutely. It just sounds so clever and, kind of like, why has no one ever done it before?
Right.
But your piece for this particular tour of Ballet Nights is string theory. So you bring in two performers together, a violist and a dancer, Layla Wright and Dominic Stokes. And it's kind of, believe it's a bit of well, I've heard it said it's a dance-off, but from what I've seen, it feels more like it's a collaborate. It's like a duet kind of thing. So tell us about your
Yes.
way.
So I mean, dance offs are really interesting. I love that, but I wouldn't say more. I wouldn't say it's a dance off, but like you said, more so a collaboration of the two bodies in space doing different artistic mediums that like merging them together. So I'm working with this incredible ballerina, Layla Wright, who is a dancer for New English Ballet Theatre, which I'm a rehearsal director for at the moment. So it's nice that I get to see her in the space as well. And then we just had a rehearsal today, actually, during her lunch break, bless her. But with Dominic, who came in, and he is part of, is it Cronquet Quartet? And I believe they will be performing at this Ballet Nights. But he's like a string quartet, incredible composer and musician in his own right. And yeah, when we were first getting kind of to the nitty gritty of the creation, because it's quite a long piece. I would say it's like a 6.5 to 7 minute piece, depending on the tempo that he plays it at. And we've sectioned it in movement. So it does start and end with something that I think is familiar with people, which is Fratres by Arvo Part. And then it goes off into his own inspired music, which has a little bit of folk in there as well when it moves to the third and fourth movement. So it's really slow to begin with, it builds up, and then it's got some punchy elements, which I think is just really exciting for the audience. And that collaboration with two bodies in space, right? A lot of the time you see a musician and they're sat and the dancer is moving like the clappers. But in this sense, we've got Dominic moving around the space. He sometimes pushes Layla in a specific direction and she pushes him back. So we've got this really like cross blend of bodies in the space, which is really what I wanted with this work.
It sounds amazing. And was it a piece of art that inspired you for this? Or if I got that wrong, where did your inspiration come from?
So the inspiration literally came with the two people in the room.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, a lot of the time, like when creating, it can come from artwork, it can come from imagery, different sources like that, poetry. But for this, just because it was great to have the collaboration of the musician who's building something from scratch
Mm.
and working with the dancer as well. I knew I wanted to work in a specific type of way, and knowing that we were working with Layla on point, so she's in point shoes, and almost like that kind of sprightly energy that he can bring, Dominic with the viola, and where he wanted to take it. So there was, I think we came up with maybe two or three different versions.
Wow.
Um, and then we kind of, well, once we found the path and we were like, oh, that really works. Then
Mm.
he continued to create. And to be honest, as choreographer, creative director that likes to collaborate, and that's what I would want to be in the future at the heart of my work if we can eventually get big amounts of funding, right? But like that idea of collaboration where truly the artist comes in and you can bounce back ideas and you do have that time to play. It's not as simple as, oh, you've got a week, make it go. But
Yeah.
actually, there's a bit of push and pull of this is what we've made. Now, how do you respond to
Mm.
this visually? And how do you put that into your medium, which is music?
Yeah.
I find that really interesting. Again, with visual artists and costume designers, similar way of working, but for this instance, with musician and dancer.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well because, like you say, it allows the piece to organically be what it needs to be rather than creating, or choreographing a piece
Mhm.
of dance and then almost casting it and saying, holding auditions and saying, right, we
Right.
need you, we need this
hmm
musician. It's just
hmm
it's a completely different way, isn't it? And
Yes, it's so interesting you say that because I uh, obviously I have a very intrinsic way of moving. I like to have, I have a language, but also at the same time, I don't like to be boxed in.
hmm,
And I'm a six-time commission artist with Ballet Nights as a choreographer. So the things I've created are all very different. And I think people don't know where to put me. And I'm quite happy with that. I suppose it's the rebellion in me, I just like to create whatever that is and whatever feeling I'm getting, like you said, if I'm inspired by a painting or imagery or poetry, what does that make me feel first? And then
hmm,
where do the steps come from there? I don't make shapes. I'm inspired by emotion led movement, which comes
yeah,
from many different sources, And I'm currently at the moment, I'm creating two pieces. What is Left, which is a pas de deux, to J.S. Bach, Air on the G string, and also Celestial Bodies, which is a quartet, and that is to Abel Mogard's Half Light of Dawn. And they're very, very different, but working with the same dancers at New English Ballet Theatre. So, yeah, I suppose each piece is very different, and my
yeah,
approach will be different. But I know I always like to be very physicalized, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, what a brilliant
Mm.
way to keep it fresh and always moving as well.
Mm.
So because you've done the lighting for this as well, haven't you? So is it the same
I've
kind of,
attempted to.
yeah, is it the same kind of thing then? Do you have a vision of what you want that to look like, or or even if you do you then, as you're working, kind of see it up and running and go, yeah, no, that's not going to work. It needs to be this instead.
100%.
Yeah,
That is exactly how I work. I mean, obviously, in some instances, you can't do that depending how far down the collaboration you are. But with lights, because you're there and then and they have the access to the lighting desk, I was like, my idea is this. And then when I saw it, I went, it just looks too intense.
yeah,
So can we strip this away? Can we add this? I'm also, I will be honest, I'm not a massive fan of side light in the way a lot of choreographers are. And I feel like they want to see everything, whereas I love heavy contrast on the overhead light because it makes the body look sharp.
mm,
And it's almost like, to me, in my mind, it's like outlining a dancer with like a HB4 pencil or something, like etching, like really deep and refined. And I can do that. I like doing that with lighting, like making that atmosphere that people can get lost in. I've noticed when people come and watch my pieces, they say like, "Oh, I felt like escapism, like I get lost in what I'm watching,"
yeah,
and that's fundamentally why I make these choices, because I want to do that myself when I go and watch
yeah.
a piece. I don't want to be chatting to the person next to me. I want to
Mm.
be completely engrossed in what I'm watching and be taken there.
And I suppose from an audience viewpoint as well, that can kind of make it feel like you're the only one in the room watching it. It's just for you as well, because you're not
hmm
distracted by external things. It is the dancer that you're watching.
Right, and I do think that goes kind of underused
Mm.
actually as choreographers or creative directors, people that want to create the form. I think that goes a very, very long way, and people sometimes underestimate how intelligent the audience is,
Yeah.
and what they can grasp from
Yeah.
certain things. So I like leaning into that.
So, as you've said, then you have, I think, 6 times collaborated with Ballet
Mhm,
Nights. When you're working with them and you're doing like the next show, are there any kind of ground rules, like how long the piece has to be, how many people they want you to have in
mhm,
your piece because another choreographed piece is going to have this amount and they want different? Like,
mhm.
do you have rules or is it just completely free form?
I mean, it depends, right? So, for this specific piece, string theory, Jamil came to me, asked me if I would like to do this collaboration with musician and dancer, and I was like, "That's brilliant! Of course I would." And with other pieces, it depends. It typically, because it's like a gala event, like a varied evening. Um, it's one dancer, two dancers, typically. It's also easily tourable model that way. It makes it
Mm.
viable to be able to go to different destinations. That's why we're able to come to Manchester. It's great. You know, it just really depends,
Yeah.
on what the I say that you say like boundaries, right? In terms of,
Mhm.
I'd say maybe 4 to 6 minutes is a good, I think a
Yeah.
good kind of time frame of a piece, a singular piece.
Yeah. Brilliant. And as you've said, and Jamil, you've talked about him. So he's the founder, but he compares the show
Mhm.
as well, doesn't he?
He does, and he's an excellent compere.
Yeah,
He's
I've heard.
brilliant.
Yeah, I've heard.
Hmm.
There's he gives you descriptions, but it's
Hmm.
humorous and he's funny and he's just like you're chatting with a friend.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
absolutely. And you know what's really interesting is that I think again people underestimate what the audience want to know about the individuals that are on stage. And it's not as simple as, oh, they're performing here and that's it. He goes into what they're doing next, what they've previously done, background sometimes. What the prospects are for their next journey. And there's something like that I feel really connects the people that are performing on the stage and the audience. So then actually when it becomes after the show and the performance is finished, when the audience sometimes get to see these dancers, because actually that's in like meet and greet afterwards as well, they feel like they know a little bit more about
yeah,
that person that they've just watched. And with that comes a bit of emotional resonance, right? Because the
yeah,
more you know someone, the more empathetic you can be. So yeah, I think that's a very good thing that happens with
yeah.
ballet nights.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice touch, and again, it
Mm,
makes it unique to anything else out there. No one else
right.
is doing that. Yeah. So when you've said like you've just finished rehearsal, you've come out of rehearsal. I'm imagining, I might be wrong, that all the different pieces rehearse wherever independently, and then when it all kind of comes together for that, tech or whatever it is, what is it like when you get to see all of those different pieces? Is it just like a whoa kind of moment?
Yeah, well, it's really beautiful. I mean, very specifically with Ballet Nights, because like you said, we've got stars from all different places all over the world, all coming together for this 1 or 2 evenings, right? And because it's going on tour, it's in different venues. So everybody's fresh to that venue specifically. It's not like we've had a bit of a running through and, people are comfortable. Everybody's in a new space with a new stage, new lighting and intensity, new auditorium. Size of the auditorium in Manchester is huge, right?
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. And it's just all on that same journey together. It's very, very beautiful because it's a quick turnaround actually for them to like get in during the morning. They travel for wherever they've traveled from. They get in, they do their tech, and then I'm sure they'll be doing a warm up class all together. And that's a nice moment for all the dancers. No
Yeah.
matter if you've, gone on lunch and you've missed a couple of pieces that are tech in, you get to like meet the people that you're in the same show with, and that's something really beautiful as well.
Mm.
It just keeps the connection going, which is always the ever flowing thing of
Yeah,
dance, right? It
absolutely.
seems
Yeah.
like there's so many people but such a small world you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. And I love that we've got ballet nights and because you've got all these different choreographers, it also kind of breaks down the stereotypes of what ballet is because it's
Hmm.
showing, people have an image if that it's not their world. They might have an
Hmm.
image of it, but this kind of goes, actually, no, ballet is this, but it's also this, and it's this, and it's this. It's
Hmm.
so many different things, isn't it?
Hmm. Well, I think it's one of those things, right? It is a ballet show. It's called Ballet Nights, but they've got contemporary dance in there. Like I said as well, new voices. They've got flamenco. They've got lots of different. Apparently, crumping as well is going to be coming soon. I believe. I don't think it's in
Wow.
this tour, but yeah, someone I believe is from Paris. I mean, you might have to correct me on that one,
Yeah.
but like this idea of the movement, the body as a source to express is just the point of view. And it's nice that other people might go to the show to watch their favorite prima ballerina
Yes.
and leave the show being inspired by a different genre or a different facet of dance that they've never witnessed. And it's about blending them edges, so it's not as defined as this is ballet, this is contemporary, this is this. It's about really kind of bringing people in to understand that cross collaboration is needed, especially in a time like now with what's happening in the world. We need more art. We
Yeah,
don't need money taken
absolutely.
away from it. We need more money put into it because it is that form of escapism that people love to go. We
Yeah.
won't even bring up Timothy Chalamet, but that idea, like people love to go to the theater.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
so trying to make it the best experience we can
Yeah.
for the beautiful audience that we have.
Well, talking about beautiful audiences, what is it going to be like coming to Manchester from where you're from with your work, showcasing it in the Opera House?
Well, it's just amazing. Honestly, it's just amazing. I feel like I've been as a dancer when I was dancing for Wayne and Michael Clark. I've been to the Lowry. Obviously, it's very famous, But having my own work, and it's especially with a soul dancer and a musician to be performed in this venue, it's just amazing. It's brilliant. It's so nice for my work to come back home, and hopefully, it's just the start of that happening more. I do see that in the future, and I see it happening. So.
Yeah, well, I really hope it does. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Jordan. Thank you so, so much.
And you too, Karen.
Thank you. And as we've said, you can catch Ballet Nights at the Manchester Opera House on the 11th of March. It is one night only, and it is going to be an absolute joyous evening. So grab your tickets, and we will see you all there.